Actually, I Am Every Artist was supposed to be like a tag. It wasn't supposed to be an actual name.
Mm-hmm.
It was supposed to be a tag that, people use, like kind of like when you go on Twitter and you see a tag, but then you see an at. So I was trying to make that just the name, and then I was going to, create a different artist name. But when I would perform during COVID and things like that virtually, people would ask, for my, social media handles, and only social media I had at the time was Instagram, and my name was I Am Every Artist, and I made up the name because when I made the profile on Instagram, I thought about like, what can I do to display all of my art, all of the things that I do. I'm like, and I was like, every art, and I'm like, every artist, but also just in reminiscent and also just in reference to, Lauryn Hill, everything is everything.
Yeah, yeah.
So, just understanding that I am someone inside of everyone, and I am a piece of art inside of every artist. So
tap, 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 tap in with me, being with me, being with me, being with me, being with me. Tap in with me, being with me, being with me, being with me.
Yo, we get that mic hot, then we let that mic drop. Yeah, mic drop, mic drop. We get that mic hot, then we let that mic drop. Yeah, mic drop, mic drop. Ooh.
Tap in with me, being with me, being with me, being with me. Tap in with me, being with me, being with me, being with me.
Mic drop,
Tap
mic
in
drop,
with me,
mic
being with
drop,
me,
mic
being with
drop.
me, being with me, being with me, being with me.
This is the Mic Drop with B. Anderson, and we are back again with another very special guest. I Am Every Artist. How you doing today, man?
I'm blessed and highly flavored and favored.
Okay then. So how did you get the name I Am Every Artist? Like, it's real unique, it's different.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you get that name?
Well, I always get this question, so I don't mind going through the story. So actually, I Am Every Artist was supposed to be like a tag. It wasn't supposed to be an actual name.
Mm-hmm.
It was supposed to be a tag that, people use, like kind of like when you go on Twitter and you see a tag, but then you see an at, So I was trying to make that just the name, and then I was going to, create a different artist name. But when I would perform during COVID and things like that virtually, people would ask, for my, social media handles, and only social media I had at the time was Instagram, and my name was I Am Every Artist, and I made up the name because when I made the profile on Instagram, I thought about like, what can I do to display all of my art, all of the things that I do. I'm like, and I was like, every art, and I'm like, every artist, but also just in reminiscent and also just in reference to, Lauryn Hill, everything is everything.
Yeah.
So, just understanding that I am someone inside of everyone, and I am a piece of art inside of every artist. So, when it came to that part, that's the simple, complex version of it, I guess. But then when it comes to the I am part, actually came second, which is so crazy. The Bible says the first shall be last and the last shall be first. So, the I am part came from the day I was creating the profile. I actually was reading, the book of Exodus, where, Moses is talking to the burning bush. And when I was reading the story, I'm gonna paraphrase just to get through it.
Yeah.
The burning bush told Moses, go back and tell Pharaoh, let my people go. Moses responded and said, again, I'm paraphrasing. He said, okay, I will do that, but who do I say sent me? And the burning bush responded and said, you tell them that the great I am, that I am, that I am, that I say that I am, sent you. So once I realized that I am was also a form or another facet of saying or recognizing who God is, that is what I started to, download within my own spirit, and I was, just put the I am before it. And of course, you know, a lot of people said I am this and I am that on. It was very, you know, common to have that on, you know, social media. So I felt like it just was kind of like I guess a double entendre in reality.
Okay.
You know.
So you talked about a lot of the different things that you do as far as your artistry, like, you know, you're a poet, you're a rapper, you're a dancer, choreographer.
Yeah.
It's so many things that you have your hands in. Which one got you started in the creative community?
Dancing would have to go first because as far as Cincinnati, you know, Ohio goes, I grew up here dancing. On many of dance teams, such as extra exclusive, no E's, just X's. Extra exclusive, studio creative. Shout out to Casa. And then also I've danced with Fatal Attraction. Shout out to Floyd. I went to some classes with Kevin, who is a great dancer here. I feel like he's kind of the reason why Cincinnati's dance style looks like it looks now, because he kind of helped mold that. You know, just throughout history. Some people, that's a fun fact for people that don't know. You know, and I like to give people their flowers while they're alive as well. So that's just me.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So when it comes to dancing, yeah, that would be the main thing I feel started me in my creative journey here, especially in Cincinnati.
You know, it's interesting because I see when I was checking out your bio that you were part of a fraternity in college, and I can kind of get a sense of that when I've seen you on stage at slams, and you know, just some of the ways that you like you move around on the stage while doing your poetry. Like I get that sense. Did that aid in, you know, kind of your performance style as far as the slam poetry goes?
Actually, not necessarily. I would not say that.
Okay.
I've always been an intense dancer.
Okay.
Or an intense performer. So like, when I was growing up dancing, one of my biggest flaws was that I had too much energy. So I had to learn how to regulate it and control it, and, you know, manipulate my own energy so that I could, you know, perform and know how to utilize it correctly on stage. And with that being said, I was just able to matriculate with my own, you know, way of thinking, well, my own way of digesting my own style, because even though I don't use mirrors when I dance, I still am able to feel what I'm doing. So when I create choreography, fun fact, I don't use mirrors. I always, you know, make it up just by memory and muscle memory, and that is the best way for me to learn, so that I can just, you know, always create my own and continue to, you know, move through. Of course, I may see myself on a recording when I'm like at a performance, but but beforehand, I don't really record or use mirrors or anything like that. So yeah.
Man, it's so interesting that you say that though, because like for me, I couldn't dance to save my life, but I had Cleo Court on recently, and I asked her about, you know, dancing during her performances and things like that, and she pretty much said the same thing. Like, you know, that the body just knows what to do, muscle memory and things of that sort. Like, and she's like, sometimes I just get up there and I just, you know, let my body kind of take over and do what it does. And so yeah, it's just real interesting to hear that perspective, because I can't relate you know.
Yeah, not many people can if you ain't never been a dancer or a performer, rather. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, or even an athlete, I'll say, because that requires muscle memory as well. So, though, you know, when you have those different type of trainings, you just get acclimated into, you know, knowing how to do things without having to think about it. Your body will think for you. You know. So. And that's kind of what happens when I'm on stage. Anytime you see me at a slam, a lot of times that is all freestyle. I don't rehearse.
Gotcha.
A lot of people might think I do, but I don't rehearse. Like that. The only thing I rehearse is my lines. I don't have to rehearse my performance, because I've been performing so long. I feel like I should, by now, it should be second nature. If it's not, then I, you know, need to go back to the drawing board, in my opinion. But hey,
definitely. How did you burst onto the poetry scene?
Well, this is a great story. Try to shorten it as much as I can. Well, okay, so for those that don't know, I was a part of a court, and I still am a part of a poetry collective that is also under the umbrella of a battle rap crew by the name of Cave Gang. It is called Rap is Poetry, and it was founded by Artie Fox, whom is a really close friend with a great writer, great talent, a great person, a great battle rapper, Tay Rock. I met him over, during COVID rather.
Yeah.
And it was during COVID when we met on Clubhouse, which was like, I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, I know
virtual
Clubhouse.
thing. And we met on Clubhouse, and, I had already I had started writing poetry again during COVID, just randomly. It just kind of literally just came to me, and typically it doesn't take me long to write. So I write most of my poems 15, maybe 30 minutes, depending on how much I really want to put in. If it's a 5-minute poem, maybe 30 minutes. But if it's a 1 minute 32 minutes, it's probably gonna take 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So, excuse me. So once I met him on Clubhouse, rather, we, do little they have little virtual open mics, and then we had a thing where they pick the top, performers or poets or just artists on Clubhouse, and they created a Showtime at the Apollo.
Yeah.
And I was a judge.
Okay.
So, because they was they were picking the top talents at the time that were on the app. So, and that's how me and him, started actually having, dialogue, and then he created Rap is Poetry. And that was a separate house, and you have houses on Clubhouse.
Yeah.
So you can have your own house, and
Yeah.
you have a house of, drop the mic, and then, you could have a Mo Poetry house. That's just how it would go. So to speak, that's the analogy rather.
Yeah.
So when I went inside of his room or his house, he was hosting a room, and he was just, spitting poetry, and they were, all just free, doing rapid fire. So it came my turn, and I had spit a poem. If I'm not mistaken, I think I spit white rap. And that is one of my most well-known poems when it comes to spoken word, or just, a lot of people that have ever heard me spit. They've either heard when they come for me, of course, but a lot of people definitely have heard white rap as well. And he was like, man, can I call you? Can I get your number? He wanted to call me, so he didn't call me that day. He called me the next morning and was like, I just wanted to call you and let you know you fired.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what? He was like, yeah, bro. I just want to let you know, bro, you fired. Do you battle rap? I'm like, no, I don't battle rap. I just love writing. He was like, man, I'm with Cave Gang. If you ever want to, get down, and start battle rapping, I got you. I'm like, nah, I don't want to battle rap. He said, well, yeah, because for me, side note, when it comes to battle rap, it's just certain standards I have for myself, and I'm not and that's not against people that do it, because I'm under the umbrella of it,
right.
So I'm not here, and I love watching battle rap. It's probably that's one of my guilty pleasures actually, is to actually watch battle rap. I used to be obsessed with it when I was in college, so especially when I was in high school as well. So it's just been something that even me and one of my older brothers, my second oldest brother, his name is DJ, shout out. We always argue back and forth about who won, who didn't win,
right.
Because it's a subjective sport, but it's for the for people with a high frequency of intellect, to be able to to be able to dissect and to be able to digest,
right,
and be able to regurgitate, if need be.
Yeah.
And I'm able to regurgitate. I guess I wouldn't say regurgitate, because I definitely have influence from them, but I'm able to regurgitate what has inspired me, so, and translate it to how I would like it to be, heard. So when it came down to, joining Rap is Poetry, he just hit me up one day. It was like, hey, you want to go to New York? You free in July? This is 2021. And he said, yeah, and at this time I was working in mental health, so I had, a lot of vacation days, saved up. So I'm like, yeah, of course I'm going. It was a weekend, so I never worked weekends. And once the day came, you know, we got everything squared away, and my first poetry feature was in Brooklyn, New York. Shout out to can I cuss?
Yeah.
Okay. Shout out to Pussy Poet. That's her name, Pussy Poet. And she is from New York. And she is a great poet as well. She gave me my first feature ever. When it came to just the poetry scene. So that's how I got like birthed as far as like getting into poetry.
Yeah.
Then when it came to coming to Cincinnati, because I was making noise, you know, virtually. Like I was making noise in Baltimore, I was making noise in New York, I was making noise, you know, in California, Florida, wherever, you know, people that I would meet from, you know, just virtually, or just like different slams I would do virtually and things like that. Anybody I would meet, I would always connect with, and we would network and things like that. And most of my fan base came from like the East Coast and the West Coast. No, not much Midwest, but like a lot of the East Coast and West Coast.
Gotcha.
People know who I am and know of me. And down south, I'll say, yes.
Gotcha.
So like once everything came full circle for me, when it came to like just, I felt like I had reached the peak while I was doing the virtual, you know, competitions and just the virtual networking.
Yeah.
I just felt like, well, one of the things, and this is something I've never told anybody, but one of the things that, so this is exclusive. But
appreciate that.
Exclusive.
Mic drop exclusive. Yeah.
But one of the things that I told myself while I was doing all of that, because, you know, I've traveled with my brother in poetry, Artie Fox. We've been to New York, we've been to Baltimore, we've been to Atlanta, you know, doing poetry, you know, and we've done it virtually. He's been everywhere as well, you know, with other like world-renowned poets and things of that nature. And shout out to Barbara Tarwick. She's the one that actually made up the prompt for When They Come For Me. So she's an actual two-time National Slam poet. So that's as far as when people say who vetted you, I was vetted by the vets. And by the champions. So like once I got to a place, and I know I'm going off on a tangent, but it's just all to come back.
You good. Like I said,
it's all to come back full circle to say that I told myself, like, okay, I'm doing all these great things. I'm getting recognized by all these big people. You know, and I ain't gonna lie, at a point in time, things did move pretty fast to where I was like, oh, hold on. Let me stop, because now let me reevaluate what it is that I need right now for myself. Because fame is good, you know, making money for what you love to do is great as well. But even if you love something, you want to make sure that the love that you have isn't tainted by ego. You know, so I didn't want my ego to be the main reason why I'm even wanting what I want, and then once I get to it, it's like, oh, well, I'm done. You know, like, and it's like, well, I've done everything, and I get bored with it so much that now I start to be lackadaisical with what it is that I'm doing, and I'm not able to project or provide those who fell in love with me once before the same, you know, vibe, or just a better vibe or a greater vibe, thus more, you know, because I've now falsely, you know, chased after something, anything that you chase after, you know, running from you. So I reevaluated and I dialed things back, and I said, if I'm not that nigga in my city, because I would always think that, you know, like when it came to, I knew that was going to be one of the main things people say, like, but what noise is he making in his city? He doing everything else. Right. But what noise is he making in Cincinnati? Ain't that where he from? And people knew me as a dancer here, but they did not know that I did poetry. Shout out to Southboy K. Like, you know, he's a fashion designer here, dope fashion designer. Check him out, of course, y'all. But, you know, Southboy, we grew up together dancing here as well. And when he saw me perform, he was at Somerset for the first time. He said, man, he like, bruh, when the fuck you start doing poetry? He like, bruh, when the fuck you start, like, you ain't never this movie's going on. I'm like, I've been doing it honestly. And to be honest, to actually dial back a little bit more than just going, when it comes to the poetry scene, and when it comes to me starting poetry, I'm pretty sure your ex that question as well. But just to touch on it, I've been writing since I was 8 years old because my grandmother was a poet in Cincinnati, a very well-known poet. She used to do poetry at the Art Consortium for the libertarians that would come there. And she performed many poems there growing up, and she traveled with her poetry for a while.
Okay.
So yeah, like she would do tours with poets in the city and everything. That's just a little fun fact. But to jump right back into the whole my whole tangent and just bringing everything full circle. When it came down to it, once I told myself you gotta be that nigga here, because if you could be that nigga to a Tay Rock, you could be that nigga to Artie Fox. You know what I'm saying? These are people that are well known, and I'm pretty sure if they were to really like publicize me on any platform that they have, I'm going to be exalted for it. I'm going to be, I'm going to get my accolades and things for it. But I felt like one thing about me, I always look at the bigger picture, and one thing about it is making sure that I feed what fed me is a big thing. And I feel like Cincinnati's creative scene just always fed me creatively, and that's what built me into the artist I am now. So why not give back one? But then also, why not make sure that I leave my print here in my own city before I even go somewhere else? And then, because one of the main things I also thought about was, dang, every great artist, that is from Cincinnati, people wouldn't know they're from Cincinnati because they don't even rep Cincinnati when they leave here. And then they just continue to, matriculate, and they continue to get greater, and it's never a give back, it's never a reach back, and it's not saying that they owe anybody anything. It's just saying that it just never happens. It's just the observation I've made. Yeah. And with that observation, I just chose not to be one of those people, because I want to make sure that I always am a advocate for, giving back to the hands that have, given to you.
When you brought up not letting your ego get out of control. Is this something that someone in your personal circle kind of like alerted you about, or is this something to where you've seen it happen to other people and you're like, I don't want to go down that same road?
Definitely. I'm the youngest of four, so like I'm kind of trained and conditioned to watch what other people do and learn from it. So while doing that, I've just watched everything from behind the music, in the industry, to, interviews with, TED Talks with Siri Imani, to, to Donuts and Alcohol with Devin Burgess, to interviews with Too Rich Benji. Like I did all my research when it comes, and just to learn from, their, the things that they made, that, the public may have seen as downfalls or triumphs. I want to see all of it, because I want to understand what it is that, comes with this thing. Because there is a science to this, to this thing we call fame, notoriety, skill, whatever it is. There's a science to all of it. And, the best teachers are your peers. I always say, this is a quote that I created one day while I was in Sabbath school, and people were going back and forth, and I was just like listening to them speak to each other, and I'm just like, wow, like it just sounds like y'all literally are just arguing, y'all are literally battling, fact with fact, and it's not no listening going on. It's just only a battle, and it's a competition. So, and this is what I told them, before I left out of Sabbath school. I said, the best teacher is the teacher that walks into the classroom ready to be taught. So I always make sure, even though I know for a fact I'm a teacher, I know for a fact that when people come in contact with me, I teach them something new about art. But I also make sure that I'm being taught as well, and I leave myself open to be taught, because regardless if I feel like I'm the best, my best is always yet to come. So
definitely. So I feel you on that, and you talked about how with being known outside of Cincinnati, but wanting that presence here. what route did you take to start to be known in Cincinnati? Like, what did you do, or who helped you, or how'd you go about that?
Well, I'll say when it came to this scene here, I came back after 5 years of a hiatus. I was in college for 5 years. I graduated with my Bachelor of Science in Business Management, which is, of course, y'all know that because I pledged a fraternity, Phi Beta Sigma, shout out. When I came back to the city, I did an open mic with Real Film, Ian, they're another collective here, dope artists as well. I did a couple of their open mics, just popped out randomly. But I grew up with a lot of them too, in the hood and things like that. So, they knew me from then and just from high school as well.
Right.
So, with that being said, once I did all of that, I was just like, okay, well, I would try to find open mics, but I never could find them. And then one day I was at my barber. I went to go get a haircut from my barber rather. And while I was sitting there, I actually saw a girl I knew from high school. And she was like, hey, how you doing? We chopping it up. And we both, ended up becoming, of course, artists. And we both just talking about our art. She's a photographer. She's like, you still dance and you still sing? Because I was known for singing and dancing in high school.
Right.
Well, at least when I went to Winton Woods.
Right.
And I'm like, nah, I don't really sing no more. I still dance though.
Yeah.
She was like, oh, for real? And I'm like, but I also do spoken word and poetry. She like, really? She said, you should, come out to Somerset. And I'm like, what's Somerset? Because even though I had been back for, 2 years, I still hadn't been outside really.
Yeah. I
only had went to a few events and then, work at home. Was not trying to be social at all. I just wanted to stay focused on what it is that I needed to do for myself.
Absolutely.
At the time, just growing and coming out of college, your mind is a little different and kind of a little bit more elevated than, the status quo of what people would think. So once I, took her advice, I was like, okay, well, let me come down to Somerset. I came to Somerset, and when I came to Somerset, it was like, well, actually, let me dial back. What? Actually, no, I can fast forward. I can go back. So, to fast forward back into what I was saying, the first time I went to Somerset was because of, shout out to Simone. She, told me to go. She's a photographer. It's from Cincinnati. And she was like, okay, videographer. And she came to me and she was like, hey, I'll meet you down there. Okay, so I met her. So, but what's so ironic is she ended up moving from Cincinnati the next week.
Okay.
Even though after she,
right,
introduced plugged me in, like, I'm like, okay, you just left me high and dry, okay.
Right.
But I went in there, I was on CPT time, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Only because I'm like, most of these events ain't starting on time. But
right.
But one thing I can say about Imani Productions and Siri Imani, shout out to the tribe. They start on time. Siri do not play about her time. She started on time. 8 to 1, literally, and it started at 8 and did not end till 1, and that's when we were only in one room inside of Somerset until it expanded into the conservatory and things like that. But when we were all in the library, it was amazing energy of one, but it was like the biggest spiritual hug I ever got when I first walked through those doors, and I seen everybody, and I was just like, huh. So there you go, welcome back. It was just like we've been waiting on you,
right?
And that was when I first performed, but I didn't get to perform in front of anybody because I came CPT. And TJG, shout out again, he was actually hosting, and he was like, hey man, come back. He was like, come back again, next 2 weeks. And I ain't gonna lie, I was so fired up. I was so pissed. I'm like, they got me fucked. I'm like, you got me performing for the one person, but it was only my fault, so I really had me fucked up.
Right.
But so I'm just like, oh nah, I'm about to make sure I kill this. I'm about to set the stage on fire. I'm about to set the stage on fire next time I get on here. So 2 weeks went past, and you know, I can't. They actually had moved. They had moved Somerset from being 2 weeks to every week.
Okay.
So it was every 2 weeks when I first started going, but then it went to every week on Tuesday, every Tuesday. So when it went to every Tuesday, I remember coming in, and I was so excited because I'm like, what? I ain't got to wait a whole 2. Yes. So I had went with one of my friends. Her name is Allison. She's a singer. And we both came, you know, and she sat down in front. I said, watch this before, because I was like the fourth person to, you know, perform that night. I got up. When they come for me, it was cool because I actually read it off my phone for the first time. And after I wrote, that was the first time I performed it. So it got a lot of good reception still, but I wasn't able to perform it like I perform it now.
Right.
But then I did White Rap, and I remember that whole poem, and it set like when I say like I ain't never seen a room.
Yeah.
Shake, go back and forth, like people running back and forth across the room, people falling over each other. Like it was an amazing experience. Like I wish I could have like been on the other side of me to know what it felt like to see me
from
do
the
that.
crowd,
yeah, like to see me do that. But I know I was in a mode that I didn't even realize what was going on. I mean, of course the reactions is what, you know, pump you up as a performer.
Right.
But I wasn't really too focused on a reaction. I was focused on getting through my material and also making sure that, like, I delivered everything properly and how I practiced it and how I rehearsed, you know, because that was a long piece. Like, so they rewound me so much that a 5-minute piece turned to 15 minutes. So, you know, that's how I got started when it, like, kind of like when people started, like, who is he? Who is he?
Yeah.
You know, just from that one time.
Yeah.
And then I had performed the next week, and I had did this. You know, that's when I had remembered When They Come For Me, and that was the first time I ever performed it. Like performed it rather than read it off my phone.
Yeah. And
then I shook the room again with that.
Yeah.
And that's when everybody like when they would come up to me, when they come for me, they would just always when they come. Shout out to Barbara again because she made up the prompt and gave it to me. I actually performed it for her birthday, and that's when I wrote it. I actually wrote. Fun fact. I wrote When They Come For Me while driving down I-75, getting off on Paddock exit. So when I finished it while I got off on Paddock exit, and you know, it was actually just me having fun. To me, it was not. I didn't think it was gonna get this much reaction because I'm just like, I mean, it's just digestible. It's something easy, something simple. You know, to me, I felt like it was something simple. You know, like something that y'all can, you know, here you go. You know, like you know, if you want me to spit something, I want to spit something real quick just to, you know, get people going, this would be something I would say.
But sometimes the best pieces come from when you don't expect anything, or when you write it in the weirdest places or doing
like in your car, driving.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
It always be like that though.
Yeah, so like that's what really, and you know, I concur. So like for me, it really was eye opening. Like wow, like so I really can be him here. Like you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So then I performed it the third week, and So had been hit me up like about more poetry slam.
Yeah.
April 30th of 20. I think that was 2022. Yeah, 2022.
So last year.
Yeah.
Oh, so that was the one where Talam AC was like a feature there. That was the one last year. If I remember correctly.
I'm about to say, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure it was last year.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it was. I'm pretty sure because I know that's where I first time I ever met Brent Eder.
Yeah. So I had him on earlier in the season. He said that was one of the first ones he did. So yeah, that was last year.
Yeah, I was say it was me, Brent, Zeta. There's a few other people. Oh, Brave Nate.
Yeah.
And then it was a few other people that I apologize if I forgot y'all names. I just don't see, I see a lot of people.
Right. Yeah.
So it's nothing personal, but I see these people frequently, so I can't forget their names.
Right.
And we all performed. I did win that poetry slam.
Oh, for real? Okay.
Yes,
okay.
I did win. Yes. Shout out Mo Poetry. Yes.
Yeah.
That was my first poetry slam ever. For the record.
Wow, so you won the first slam that you ever competed in?
Yes.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yes, it is. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of always pat myself on the back every time. I'm like,
that's dope.
You know, because I ain't gonna lie. The people that like Zeta and Brent's like both had me like they inspired me that at that point in time, like when I got to perform before I got on stage. I'm like, ooh, I'm like, okay, well, like Zeta, she doing 30-second poems, but they just so fire, and it's just like, then Brent's, he has this abstract style that is like, ooh, that's like, oh, okay, somebody else like me, you know what I'm saying? That's and that's what I loved about seeing both of them. So I'm like, oh, this is like a smorgasbord for me now. So like, it was like, I felt like they were like, you know, the duality of myself, like, you know what I'm saying? So, and just in artistry. And when I got on stage, you know, the first round, you know, it was cool or whatever. And I think I was like third place, or like I was like fourth place. I almost didn't make it.
Okay.
So like the second round, I had already knew I was going, you know, so I got second place the second round.
Yeah.
And then I got first place the third round. And that's how I won, because they tallied everything up, and by the tallies, I had the most points out of everybody.
Okay.
And that had competed. And
so they get a cumulative.
Yeah, because me and Zeta, I think we had tied for we both got 30s for our third round.
Gotcha.
So when we both got 30s, it was kind of like, okay, like, well, down they got a tally.
Yeah.
You know, see who won, and then Break Nate yelled out, "We already know who won. Just give it to him." He like, "We already know who won. Hell, just give it to him." I'm like, you don't know that. And then they scream, because I had got a time penalty for doing when they come for me. I ain't gonna. I love you, but you know, I ain't gonna say her name, but you know, because it's not, and it's not no bad blood. I was just salty at the time, like, you really gave me a time penalty, but it was like a 0.5, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I had a 30, so it went to like 29.5. Yes, so I was pissed.
Right. Okay.
My first 30 got stolen from me. Like, I was just like, wow, like, you just gave me, like, okay, cool. So, but I still won.
Right.
So, you know, it was an amazing experience. And, you know, shout out to Soul, because he came up to me right after I had performed When They Come For Me, and was like, if you don't come get this money, boy.
Right.
Like, and that's crazy. I just watched Makaya's interview earlier, and I've seen her say the same thing, that he was like, yeah, you're going to do a slam. Like, you know what I'm saying? She was like, no, I'm not. Yeah, no, I'm not. Like, and they said he just came up to me. He was like, he said, I'm signing you up. You're getting this money. Come get this money. And I was like, I don't know, man. He's like, bro, come get this money. And then he literally texts me almost every day to remind me of that slam, to remind me of the registration fee and everything. Like, he's like, you got it? Like, you need it? I'm like, nah, you know, I got the registration fee. Ain't the problem. Yeah. The money ain't the issue. It is just the fact that I've never done it. So, and I you know, even though I grew up in the city competing in dance competitions, so like, I grew up doing competitions. That's kind of bred in me to be competitive. Yes. Which is why it's part of why I write like I write. You know, like, you know what I'm saying? I don't mind competition, but I don't provoke people to be competitive. Like, I like friendly competition. That's what I'll say. I like friendly competition. I don't really like, I don't really do a lot of the competitive like malice that, you know, some people may have, like, or may display. I don't do that. Right. That's not my goal at all. I don't want to like anytime I like. People have asked me to battle, whether it be dance, you know, rapping, whatever. If I felt like it was something that would destroy a person, like confidence in their art, I never did it, because I'm like, I'm not going to be the reason why you stop being the best you. Like, and because I don't want to be that reason. I don't want to carry that weight like that. I feel like that is a big weight to carry, and karma is a motherfucker. I feel you. You know what I'm saying? And I'm doing I do my best to make sure that I'm, you know, always giving out good karma, because there's good and bad. Yeah. You know, so I just always have had that. And I've never even told anybody that, but that is a big thing about me. I really do not like to have malice when competing, because I feel like then for me, it's not that I can't do it. It's not that I haven't done it before, but the times that I have done it, I feel like I like the person kind of like lost a lot of confidence in the things that they did, and they looked at their art differently, and they start questioning themselves, and I didn't like that. I felt like it was just like it's a recipe for disaster, and when we, especially as Black people, I refuse to do this to another Black person, and put us further into a systemic genocide, mentally and artistically. Like I would not ever do that. That's just not my. Even if a person feels like, they talk to them now, I ain't gonna lie. Now there's a thing. Now, if the check right, you could now you might get me. I might have to say I apologize, but that'd be the only thing. I don't like competing, maliciously. That's just not my stilo.
Well, you talk about soul, and I hear quite a few people talk about
Sagittarius brother. Shout out.
just the role that soul played. I mean, he really helped me a lot when I first came in, as well, just on different levels. After you won the Regal Rhythms Poetry Slam, where did you go from there? Like, as far as slamming, like, is that something that you was just like, man, I love this slam life, I want to start doing it, or was it more like a subtle approach?
It was very timid rather than subtle, because I really didn't want to do it again, because it was just like something I didn't want to do in the first place.
Got you.
So like when I did it again, it was really because like I had kept getting encouraged. Brent would always encourage me, like, come on, do another one, and I'm just like, I don't know, man. Like, I just really like indecisive. And then Nick Fury, shout out, Deaf Poet Society. Micaiah, you're in Shan. But he had seen me perform as well, and he was like, dude, like, have you ever performed at a slam? I'm like, yes, I won my first one. He was like, well, you should come out again, and da-da-da-da. And then, long story short, I came out, I saw, not sure if I conquered so much, but it was a dope experience. What I did take away from it was, and this is just me being very, very candid and honest and transparent, because I'm a very honest and blunt person, but this is not with malice at all. This is just with giving context with what it is that what it is we're speaking about, and just making sure people have a full understanding of what it is that I've experienced. I have never been me coming from a background of competition already. I'm used to criteria, so when I seen people being judged, even nationally, when I seen people getting judged without criteria, it just kind of made me raise an eyebrow. But I understand this is a culture that has already been cultivated and created, like, with a certain format where, before I even, came into it. So, that's something I had to, just be able to learn and swallow, a pill I had to swallow when it came to this thing, but it also, it was very humbling. It was very, teaching. So, it teaches you to always, be sharp with the things that you're doing, because I know for a fact the reason why I won my first slam is because I didn't hold anything back. And also because I took it seriously, and also because I rehearsed everything, like front and back. I remember over to my godfather's house hours before, because they had told us that, they had pushed the time back from the original time the post was supposed to be there. It's like, well, you ain't got to be there the next 3 hours. Okay, cool. So I'm like, I got 3 hours. They texting us in the group. Okay, I went to my godfather's house right around the corner from it, and I was like, okay, let me talk to you real quick and spit these poems to you. He was blown away. Like, he said, you're gonna win. And I'm like, I know I am. I said, I just want to make sure that I'm gonna win.
Hey, it's the confidence for me. So,
well, when I know I'm gonna do something, I don't have no doubt in my mind. With coming to the second time I did the slam, I don't think, and I know for me, I didn't really have an intention. I just kind of came there, and whatever happened, and I've learned that, you have to take everything, don't play with art. You know what I'm saying? That's something that Brent's editor, he posted a post. He said one thing people look at him about, is, how serious he takes art. He says, because I never play.
Yeah.
And he reminds me of something that I've said that when I was younger, like when I was a young artist and just growing, before I, got so acclimated into who I was and who I am and who I would become, and just knowing my skill level, I, was definitely like that. And I think I did also performing so much, around the city.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of made me get a little lackadaisical because it's like, these are the same people. In my mind, I was like, oh, these same people that come to my shows. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
They come to see me perform or whatever, or, yell, I am every artist across the street while I'm walking in public, and just going to the grocery store. Like, so to me, it was just something that I feel like I personally needed to take more serious. Because I'm not saying, that's not to say that I didn't take it serious. I just didn't give it the same amount of effort that I gave Mo Poetry's because it was my first, and I feel like you put your best, like first impression is everything.
Yeah.
And I can lose. You can lose 1,000 different competitions after that, but like your first competition, is always gonna be etched in stone with you. No matter no matter what you do, you can win 1,000. Like you can lose your first, you can win 1,000 or 1,000,000 poetry slams, but you lost your first one. That will always sit with you. It will always sit with you. You know what I'm saying? You will always, and I feel like that to me. I feel like you will always try to make up what you felt should have been, and I don't want to ever feel like I should. I don't like should, could, or would are perfect words to me. So I don't use those words or I don't try to, accommodate that within my vocabulary.
Yeah.
So like that's just not something I've even practiced in thinking about, speaking about, operating in. I don't operate out of those could, should, would places. Like, no, I'm gonna do it.
So, I feel you, man, in that regard. And, you brought up the Deaf Poets Society.
Yes.
And Nick Fury. And I remember talking to Micaiah back in August, and her saying that when I asked her, like, how'd you get involved with that? And she was like, Nick decided for me. And so, how did you get involved with the Deaf Poets Society?
Well, Nick Fury, he came to Somerset like October of last year.
Mm-hmm.
And he was performing, and he performed, he, did his thing. Then I got up there, I did When They Come For Me, of course,
Mm-hmm.
and it shook the room again,
Mm-hmm.
as typically it does when I ain't did it in a while. So,
Right.
like, with me, I just was like, okay, I got done. I just, walked outside. He came outside and found me. He was like, man, who are you? Like, he like, and what, like, he said, you're not going to tell me you don't do music, because, like, he said, you are a lyricist. Like, he said, you're a writer's writer.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he calls me all the time. You're a writer's writer. Like, he's like, bro, like, I would love to learn from you and da-da-da-da, like,
Mm-hmm.
and he just was, very, very, very humble and very, like, showed a lot of humility, which is what I loved about Nick Fury. Like, he was not afraid to give me my flowers. A lot of people I ran into, like, will not do what he did.
Mm-hmm.
They won't be at least they won't be as bold. And, doing so in front of a group of people he doesn't even know. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he's just like, hey, like, I would love to go out of town. You ever heard of Southern Fried? I'm like, he said, I think you probably do good with them up there because, like, like the way you perform, like, he said, man, like, it's different. Like, he said they won't be able to expect it. Like,
Yeah.
and he was like, you will blow them out the water. And I'm like, what? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I heard about it, but I just never, because of course, like I said, shout out to Barbara. She talked about it a lot. Just a lot of her
Mm-hmm.
friends, people I've been around in the virtual poetry circuit, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
They are the virtual poetry community. Like, they were a lot of people that were already in the poetry community. So they would, speak of Southern Fried, and they would also tell me about it too. But Nick Fury was the first person to ever say, like, hey, let's do it, da-da-da-da. And then one day he just came up to me and was like, I'm thinking about doing a nonprofit. And I'm like, what's that? And he was like, I wanted to be focused on poetry and things like that. He hadn't had a name at the time. Then one day he just came out of nowhere, with hey, it's gonna be Deaf Poets Society. And then I saw the post, and I'm like, okay, dope. And for a while, I wasn't like an official member. It was just kind of like, he was doing his thing on his own. And then I have reached back out to him like, hey, I would love to do, you know, some work with you and things like that when it comes to, you know, poetry and, you know, just, you know, helping out with the nonprofit. He was like, dope, you know, so then we just started talking more and more. And after a while, he just, you know, welcomed me to, you know, the team, him and Micaiah, and we all did our first photo shoot and things like that.
Yeah, I remember those the pictures. I think like one on like I was like on the steps or whatever.
We were on top of a table, and I had, you know, had the smoke coming out of my mouth. Yeah.
I think I've seen a couple of different.
Oh, you talking about the steps? Oh, I know what you're talking about.
I was gonna say I could have sworn I seen a picture of y'all on the set because I seen a few different pictures, but you know you speak on Soul Fried and you know, just that kind of, what was that experience like for you personally?
Let me be fair in what I'm going to say. So it was a beautiful experience. Let me say that first. Like, it was beautiful to experience like that community. Like, it is literally a community. Like Greek life is Greek. Like, we tell people in Greek life, like, Greek life is literally a different life. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you literally live a different life separate from your life. Like, Greek life is different compared to, you know, your regular reality. It's literally living in a perception of reality. So same thing with spoken word. Like, that community is amazing. Like, the people there, the camaraderie they have, the family oriented, like, they barbecuing together, like, family, like, it was just so dope. Like, and it reminded me of my fraternities, like, you know, fraternity and sororities that, you know, Divine Nine, like, we do the same thing. You know, we have Greek picnics and things like that. Like, and we have the family reunion vibe, you know, that is, you know, famous for us black people. You understand? You know, some electric slide, all of that up in there. You know what I'm saying? Some wobble, all of that.
Yeah.
And that's the vibe I got from it. It was just so, you know, warming. Like, it was so, you know, eye-opening, you know, to just be around different forms of writers and, you know, creative minds and things of that nature. As far as, like, at first, I am not gonna lie, part of me did not enjoy like certain aspects of it, only because I felt like, you know, well, the only aspect I didn't enjoy was the fact that I feel as if that the people there that have been there for so long are so acclimated in their minds, and they're so trained to hear a certain type of poetry or a certain type of writing that sometimes it makes them not even want to, you know, open their ear to something that may be different or something that may be a little bit more intricate or even more simpler. You know, so, like, sometimes, you know, the ear can just hears what it wants to hear, but when it's been trained, it's just been trained. And I feel like it was just, the community is so strong that is probably like it's like a double-edged sword. Like,
yes,
it, you know, like, it's great to see and be a part of, but then on the other hand, when you want people to listen to you, I'm not sure if what is being listened to is being listened to. I think it's being heard more rather than listened to. You know, and some people aren't. You know, I always say this. You know, when I'm, you know, doing the virtual like sign off, I always say, like, thank you for lending me your listening ears, because typically not everybody is born with the ability to hear.
Absolutely.
But we all have the ability to listen.
That's an interesting, you know, thing that you said, because I've heard, you know, poets say that just about, like, just judging in general, is that, you know, sometimes your ear is trained to hear a certain type of poetry, and then, you know, sometimes they feel like, oh, traumatic poetry is the most effective, or you know, just it could be erotic poetry. Is there, like, you know, sometimes people were just hip to a certain just style of poetry. So
yeah,
I've definitely heard that before.
Yeah, like, I remember, this was in a slam here. I was a sacrificial poet this time though. A judge told me that this is for when they come for me. He told me that my poem didn't have a protagonist or an antagonist, so that's why he judged me like he did. So yeah, so I'm like, well, this is not a novel; it's creative writing. So I'm confused. But I mean, that it opens you up, because one of my friend Barbara, she let me know that it is legal for them in this arena to have bias, and I'm like, wow, it is, and I see it thus more. So now you have to just really be, it's called putting your best foot forth 24/7. You can't lack. In my Brent's Eder voice, I won't ever play. You know what I'm saying? And I had to. I think that's what my lesson was there. Like, I think they taught me to take. They reminded me of why I should take what I do serious at all times, like I have before, if I want to win, and I will win this next one.
I like. During my conversation with Micaiah, we talked about her performance at So Fried, and like I had told her, I said, I could tell based off of what I had seen beforehand and just the videos that I saw from So Fried. I said, man, I could tell that Nick Fury and I Am Every Artist was working with you, that they provided that mentorship, because the fire that I heard her spit with as So Fried, I'm like, man, like, it was just so intense, but also it was felt. Like, I felt everything that she was saying, so I could tell just, what that did. So we talked about the just the role and the presence that the Deaf Poets Society had on her. What do you feel like you've learned from, being surrounded by other like dope poets?
They've taught me, especially I'll say Micaiah is what, like, she calls me her mentor and things of that nature, but like she also reciprocates the energy in a different facet. As a friend, like, she counsels me and she'll let me know, like, you are, like, she told me, like, you are the best. Like, she was like, you are. She was like, I would say that to anybody. She was like, you are the best. And she said, and it's okay, because I'm the type of person, like, oh no, don't slap.
Right.
Like, I can say I'm the best, but you know what I'm saying,
right?
But it's different, But when you hear from other people, and she's like, no, it's okay, like, it's okay. She said, that's who you are. You're better, and she said it's okay to be better, and she's taught me how to accept my glory, how to accept my skill level, how to not depreciate my skill level, because I would a lot of times I would depreciate it, or I would, like, not reveal all the things that I could do, because I would be afraid that it would scare people away or intimidate people so much, because I've literally had full arguments. I've had people do a lot of, like, vindictive things to me, all over just me being talented. Like, all over just me having a God-given talent.
Right.
I've had people do some very foul things, say very foul things, make up very foul stories, just because I shine when I do what I do. And it would make me appreciate it sometimes, because I would lose friendships sometimes. It's like, wow, like, why am I losing friendships? So I would start to dial back myself, like, well, maybe I don't want to be too good. You know what I'm saying? Where it's just like I'm pushing everybody away, and you feel like I'm just so full of myself that I don't have no room for nobody else. But that's and that's not the case. Right. But then I had to learn that wasn't my responsibility. It was never my responsibility. I only have a responsibility for what it is that I have control of. Right. And what God has set me here to purpose for. So that is the thing. So Deaf Poets Society, then when it comes to Nick Fury, I'll say that he definitely has made sure that I maintain my leadership. He makes by him, like, making sure that we have an event every Thursday, every third Thursday of the month. Like, with Deaf Poets Society, he made sure I maintain. He gave me and Micaiah a place to now, or he helped orchestrate rather, and Lucky B also helped orchestrate just a place and an environment for Deaf Poets Society to be known for what we do, and that is to be leaders of this poetry community. For people to look up to us, for somebody to have how do I do this? What do I do? How do I say it? And they can say like, well, they can look at a Micaiah, and she's a very dope poet.
Yes.
They can look at a Nick Fury, another very dope poet. They can look at an I Am Every Artist, a very dope poet. They can look at all three of us as a whole or individually and be able to grasp something of what it is to be a poet and what it is to be a spoken word artist, what it is to be an artist in general. You know, what it is to be yourself loudly, what it is to love loudly, what it is to express loudly, what it is to be passionate, not just aggressive.
Right.
You know, like, and what it is to ultimately live in your purpose, live in your truth. You know, and I think that all three of us do that very well. So that is something that they both have instilled in me, just to continue to live my truth and don't ever depreciate it for anybody else. You know,
I like that. Like, and you've talked about the Deaf Poets Society, and you know, you've talked about, you know, just the role that Brent's has played, and he raps, and you know, you even spoke on Devin Burgess, on Siri Imani. Would you say that there are any poets or rappers or vocalists, singers, whoever, that you haven't worked with yet, but you have on your radar, like, man, I would love to, whether it's like a project or whether it's just writing together and performing together, like, is there anyone just out of the city of Cincinnati who you would love to work with but haven't yet?
Well, I have behind the scenes. I've worked with a lot of people. It's just we haven't put some things out.
Right. Okay.
So I've worked with, like, me and Brent. We have things together. We just, you know, are finding the right time because he was building Loch Ness from the ground up, and he wanted to focus on that. And by all means, focus on yourself first before you try to lend your light to somebody else. You know, and that's what. And I shout out to Loch Ness. You know what I'm saying? They just tore the stage down at Keisha's. You know. That's an unfortunate reunion, or you know, just it wasn't a reunion in a way, but they just tore that stage down and, like, you know, really they're bringing back the hip hop, the feeling. And that's one thing I love about Brent. He is very, very, very intentional about making sure that he bring back the art of bars. And me and him always talked about this even when we were writing our, like, pieces together, like the stuff that we have for y'all, which we perform soon. You know what I'm saying? We worked with those things, and when it came down to it, we both would always agree on. We think a lot alike. We'd be like, man, at the end of the day, like, we always would hate when people like, well, it ain't just about having bars when they make music. People like, it ain't about having bars. It's about, you know, being an artist, and to us it's like that's a slap in the face because bars is our art. You know what I'm saying? We speak. We, you know, our art is our bars. Yes. You know, so for you to say that, it's kind of like what? Like, that's like a dig to us. Right. So, you know, in a way, at least is how it can be perceived sometimes. Not saying that's the intention of everybody, but that's what it sounds like, or how it comes off sometimes, and that's how we react. And you know, saying like, no, that's not the case. But as far as the people I want to work with in the city, I would love to work. Me and Devin Burgess have already talked about it because he actually recorded the intro to my project that I'm dropping December 18th. This is exclusive. Nobody knows this. So you're the first person to actually. Cool.
Yeah, we gonna dive into that too. We're gonna dive into that.
You know what I'm saying? He recorded the intro. It's the name is Prince, Prints. And of course, you know, the double entendre of Prince, but also because I've always been compared to Prince. The artist. I remember I was walking through Kroger parking lot with my trench coat on and some jogging suit on, but I threw a trench coat over it just for style purposes. You know, and I had a Miami Heat fitted on, and she's like, as a woman, it was, you know, Caucasian woman walked past me. She's like, oh my God, Prince. I'm like, who? I'm like, who the fuck? I'm like, who the fuck she talking to? I'm like, who she talking to? Mind you, my blood cousin is Prince Cincinnati. If you know who that is, for people that know who that is, Prince Cincinnati is my cousin, 2MG, you know, all of that if you are familiar. But she was like, Prince? I'm like, who? I don't know you and my cousin ain't here, so I'm like, Prince? I'm like, who does she think I'm a cousin? I'm like, I'm just trying to figure out who. She's like, no, you. I'm like, she said, no, you look like Prince. Like, she said, you are Prince. Like, but then one of my shout out to Underdog Academy, Trip Fontaine. You know, I'm pretty sure people know of him. Matthew Vaughn, you know, all of Atlas, all of them. They, you know, they took me to, well, they had me in Columbus, and when I was in Columbus with them, I had got acclimated with a lot of things in they scene as well, you know. So they came to me in the same sense, like well, not they. I was there with them when I was getting acclimated with them. I went to Matthew Vaughn. I went to his mother's house because we were roommates in college. And while we were roommates, you know, our mothers got real close. Both our mothers are Virgos. And which, so, you know, we always talked about that. But when I met his mother in person, she's like, well, again, for the second time, she was like, Prince, oh my God, like, she was singing one of the Prince songs as I walked up to her door and everything. Like, she was like, she said, you know you're a star, right? Like, she said, you're my superstar. You're my superstar. Like, she said, you're my superstar. Like, because she called me her son. Like, she said, you're my superstar. Like, she said, you're Prince. Like, that you're Prince. That's who you are. Like, she said, you are Prince. Like, that's that energy. And and then I could be I've been out at bars and people like, you know, you give like a Prince energy. So, you know, that is what inspired me to, you know, and provoked me rather to, you know, actually name my project Prince, but also Prince, because I'm you know, I'm here to leave my print.
Got you.
But it's also it's not just a, you know, tape, you know, I mean, not just a name. It actually is symbolic of a lot of different things. But I'll wait for me to dive into that. But to go back into just who I would like to, you know, collab with, I mean, go down the line. Devin Burgess, you know, we've already talked about it. Too Rich Benji, I think me and Too Rich Benji's energy on stage would be amazing. Because when we first met each other, actually, like, we both, like, you know how, like, you see a person and you, like, you know, like, every time y'all keep seeing each other, it's just like, okay, we don't ever talk, let's talk this time.
Right.
You know, so one time they were doing, I think it was second Saturdays on Main, and I was dancing with South Boy, and he came off stage and he was like, he had came to me like, hey, bro, he was like, do you do music or something? Like, what do you do? Like, he said, he had just kept seeing my face and hearing my name, so he like, okay, so we had linked, you know, got each other social medias, you know, talking. He's a great artist. I think he's going to be an amazing industry artist at some point in time, because he's already there in my eyes. You know what I'm saying? Because when the industry got to take your shine to shine somebody else up, you already there. So shout out to Too Rich Benji for that. Too Rich Benji, I would love. Really, I would love to work with some of the people from Real Fam, actually. Just because I feel like it's my my due diligence for, you know, them just accepting me back into, really kind of introduced me back into, you know, performing once I came back to Cincinnati from college. So that's them. As far as any other artists, like I already have a lot of other things in the plans on my tape, so it's kind of like the people that I would want to, you know, Swooty Mac, I would love. I think we are very good, you know, friends, very good. I would call him a friend, definitely. We're not, I would say, close friends, but he's definitely a friend.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? He's a brother, you know. He's bigger. He's more than a friend. He's a brother. And,
gotcha.
And that he definitely has brotherly energy, and he's gonna keep it real with me at all times. Which is why anything I do, I will always sit down with him and let him know, like, hey, this is what I'm doing, or, you know, I spit something to him, he's like, that's fire. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and if you can impress Swooty,
you
can impress anybody. You know what I'm saying? So,
absolutely.
you know, when it comes down to anybody else, rather, I'll say that's really it. I don't really have nobody else that I wanna. I mean, it's people that I already have in talk, so it's kind of like, I mean, I would want to, but I'm already in the process of getting, you know, getting collabs with these people. So as far as those are people but I know I would say at the top of the list for me, it would be between Devin Burgess and Too Rich Benji, for sure.
Okay, well, you talk about December 18th.
My birthday.
Okay.
Also DMX birthday.
Okay. So you're gonna be dropping this project.
Yes, I will.
Dive into this. Like, is it going to be spoken word? Is it going to be rap? What direction you going?
I'm so glad you asked. So this is a project that has an A side and a B side.
Oh, okay.
And it is a mixtape. So Prince Prince
Mm-hmm.
is also to be able to, in a way, I'll say, pay homage to those who have left imprints on our artistic culture in Cincinnati and in the industry. So, as well as in our culture as Black people, not only as Black people, so locally and nationally and internationally.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the goal of Prince, to just highlight those people that have inspired me and left an imprint on me while making imprints on our culture.
Dope.
And that's, the A side is full of music. It's going to be full of music that no one's ever heard. And then it's going to be, my B side is unplugged.
Okay.
So I will be having different tracks that from the A side correlate with my B side. And with that being said, I might have for instance, I can give y'all, this is a real exclusive. I ain't even told this to nobody, but the first, the intros to both of the A side and B side. So the intro, they're even strategically correlated, in how I put things together. So the intro for that Devin Burgess recorded for my A side is called I'm Him. And then the intro for my unplugged side is called When I Walk Barefoot.
Okay.
So when you put that together, it's an actual sentence. I'm him when I walk barefoot.
Okay.
So,
I see what you did. Okay.
So,
okay.
And it is just really to be more, it's really to edify and give that highlight to that, thus more to the name Prince, of making your imprint. Because one thing I also, what made me name my project Prince and just be solid with that name was because, we all have one fingerprint. And no one else has one fingerprint. No one else in this world, which means we're all put here for a specific purpose. So if you left your imprint, that means you served your purpose inside of everyone, inside of every artist. So for me, it is just a totality, totality of whom I am and whom I envision to be, to become, and who I work to become, and who I pray to become as I continue to matriculate through this, through my artistry and, evolve it. When it comes to this project, it is to me, I'll tell everybody this, that it's me letting people, finally, get a taste of what it is they've been asking for, my music and things like that, hearing me on the track just to kind of gauge what it is that I'm doing. I didn't want to drop an album because I felt like I wanted to gain a relationship with music again. Because I grew up dancing, of course, and I've always rapped and wrote poetry since I was 8. But I had cousins around me. Shout out, rest in heaven, my cousin Chaz Calico. He was murdered in Von Hill in 2007. But he was in the artist circuit. He was a very well-known rapper. He was getting to become a well-known rapper alongside my cousin Future. But Prince Cincinnati was also with them as well, and he became bigger. He kind of just kept pushing forward with that. So I was around it. And also, I don't know if you remember the Cincinnati All-Stars, the rap group Cincinnati All-Stars. They were on the radio as well. That was Those were my cousins on my father's side.
Oh wow!
So I was always around music in Cincinnati and rapping. So in ciphers and stuff like that. So that just was always bred in me. My cousins would turn on the Smack DVDs and like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, had me battle rapping people when I was 7 years old and stuff like that. Like, you know, so like it just was always, you know, inbred in me. You know, to just to have that unction to, you know, do my art, you know, intensely, aggressively, and passionately. You know what I'm saying? To just show everything that I have without no care of, you know, or no filter rather. So no care of a filter. And, you know, that's really it, really, when it comes to that. My project, like I said, will be dropped December 18th. Yeah, it definitely is. It still will feature a lot of the people. I can give this more of an exclusive as well. It is going to feature a lot of the different songs within our community in Cincinnati that have made imprints, and which is why it's a mixtape.
Okay.
So like I will, you know, I'll have some of my original music, but it'll be mixtape. It'll be mixed in with different, you know, versions and, you know, arrangements and remixes of, you know, other songs that we all know and love, you know, from our Cincinnati artists, and just giving them homage and giving them that just due, and, you know, that notoriety again. Well, not even notoriety, but I won't say that because they already know, you know, vetted. But just giving them that praise, because I think a lot of things that our artists in the city, you know, it kind of miss, or they don't really get enough of, which is what makes them move away, is the love that they give out. You know, we day and night. I've been in the studio from 8 o'clock till 10 the next morning before. You know, like and that was with Raya Bella. Shout out Raya Bella. She did that's how she was recording her songs for Vulnerable, the EP she just dropped. And I was there throughout the whole process watching her do this, like the dedication to it. Yeah. Same thing with Siri with Big Fish. She would wake up at 9 o'clock in the morning, like sometimes earlier, 6 o'clock in the morning at the studio. Like, you know, like same thing with TJG at the studio. Same thing with DB33, you know, at the studio. Like, it's just like these people are people that like really love what they do, but they are making the sacrifices. So, and I've made sacrifices with them just so I knew when it was time for me to do what I wanted to do, that I was going to be prepared for what it is I had to do, and I knew what I had to do, and I knew what I had to do, and what best and who best to teach you how to do what you need to do in this industry in Cincinnati, in this community, rather than the people that are considered the best that do it. You know, shout out to Brittany Marie and Monty C. Benjamin. They are some people that I'm very close with as well. They're more like well, we just found out we family. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, but you know what I'm saying. But further than that, like we were family way before we found that out, and just, you know, like, because Brittany Marie and Monty C. Benjamin are like, they are dope. They are like amazing artists. Yes. But they are amazing people. Like amazing, bro. Like nurturing, caring, loving, stern, real. Everything you could, you know, forthright. Everything you could ask for a real person to be, they are, and they exemplify that every day. It's just who they are. Like they don't have to put on a mask. Like it's just who they are. Like they don't have to, you know, pump and prime you and, you know, say I'm gonna do this for you, bribe you to be that. It's none of that. Like they don't gotta show you, even if they do music, to show you how great a person that they are. Like Brittany Marie, she has taught me a lot. You know what I'm saying? Monty C, I grew up with him actually because he was in a group with my cousin 2MG. Also, my brother was in it as well. So, like, I knew Monty C since I was 13 years old. So, you know, he always knew I could rap, but I never like got into it. You know, right? And he just kind of always waited. And now that I'm here, you know, he's all here for it. He actually is one of the main reasons one of the main people that inspired me to do it, because he was like, I told myself, I said, if Monty C come to me and tell me when you're dropping a project, that say a whole lot. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then Siri Imani, shout out, she did the same thing when I had did, you know, enough shows. She just sat me down one day in the back at Somerset, and she's like, okay, you know, we basically, so many words, we know you're a great writer, but so where your music at? Like, you know, like, we can hear you, we know you can write your ass off, but where's the music? Where's the stuff that where's something that we can just keep for ourselves so we can continue to listen to this?
Right.
And I'm like, I don't have any. She's like, what? Well, we gonna change that.
Right.
And definitely did, because we made a song called Kata Vibe on my birthday, December 18th. And it was of last year, and it's an amazing song. It's actually alternative. And you know what I'm saying, we shot the music video at her Big Fish experience as well. And you know, like, it was just so dope. Like, we also shot it on New Year's. So we had like 2 different times we shot the video, but like in shooting it, it was just so dope being around the people that I was around, and it was done on my birthday. So to know that, like, the song is called Kata Vibe, you know, on my birthday, just to know like how purposeful that was for me to have a song like that created on my birthday. It let me know the type of impact I'm meant to have when it comes to music. So I definitely been in my dungeon. I definitely been writing, and I definitely am. I say show people a few different sides of me, not just a different side. So.
Well, that's dope, man.
Pun intended on the A side, B side.
So where will the mixtape be available?
It'll be on all streaming platforms. And that's my intention. Unless like I get you know, swayed a different way as far as like, you know, monetary, you know, because hey, money talk. I'm not gonna lie to you. So unless I get swayed differently, I plan to have all original beats. I plan to have all original sounds, all original lyrics. You know what I'm saying? Of course, we doing remixes, so it's not gonna be too original. But as original as I can make it, because I do want to still, you know, translate what it is that or regurgitate what it is I translated from what I heard when I heard these songs, you know, and things like what I felt, you know, like the songs I have on there are definitely songs that I feel. And then right now, like, you know, we as artists, you know, we say one thing now, then, you know, by the time we get there, it's, you know, the tone, like, okay, you know what I'm saying? Like, I thought I was gonna do that song, but I might do another one, you know what I'm saying? But this time, you know, I mean, I can't do it, you know what I'm saying? So I gotta.
That's the story of my last couple of years of life.
You hear me? Like, you know what I'm saying? You know, see what had happened was. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? See what had happened was.
Yeah.
And that's just what it really be. But yeah, as far as like that project goes, that's really like, you know, the I guess exclusive on it.
Dope, man. Well, definitely looking forward to it. Y'all make sure that y'all tap in so y'all can get more details about this mixtape. Let them know where you at on social media.
Okay, I am
right.
_every.artist on Instagram. I'm every artist on Twitter. Well, X, we all know.
right, yeah.
Not Twitter.
Yeah.
X. I am Yo Soy every artist on Facebook, the blue app. So some of y'all call it Yo Soy, because I am bilingual, so I can speak Spanish.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, that's dope, man. Before we get up out of here, I like to for season 2 like to have my guest be the interviewer and ask me one question. So it could be anything, but yeah. So if you could ask me one question, what would it be?
I like asking great questions, and questions that's gonna probably have you, you know, in yourself a little bit.
Yeah, no doubt.
When it comes to this art scene and this community in Cincinnati, what do you see yourself contributing and what is your goal in contributing thus further when it comes to this scene, this community, and outside of it?
Well, as far as contributing inside the community, I really try to do the best that I possibly can just to use my words to motivate, to inspire, to help the next person. I feel like a lot of poetry is healing. Poetry is therapeutic. So, and poetry comes first for me before anything else. And so just using my words to be able to have an impact on someone else's life has always been my biggest goal. And I mean, from there, that's where everything comes from. So, you know, the musical projects, and then the mic drop. If it wasn't for the poetry, if it wasn't for my gift to write, I wouldn't have a platform to interview people, because I wouldn't be in that community, that creative community, to be able to meet people and thus get them to, you know, come here and talk about their story. So, you know, it's always to use my gift to impact others in a positive way, the best way that I know how. And then outside of the community is really to bring more awareness to the poetry community, to the creative community as a whole. There's always space for new people if they respect and love what it is that we do as creatives, to come in and just be able to enjoy it. They may get inspired and may want to start writing. Like, you just never know who you may inspire in that crowd that night, or, you know, who you may have an impact on, to where your words changed their entire life. It changed the entire direction of where they were going in life. So that's the best way that I can answer that question.
Amen. I share. Yeah, dope. Any more questions?
No, you know, I feel like we covered so many things. I really got to know you more as an artist, and, you know, just your journey that it took for you to get to where you're getting to. Before we do get out of here, let the people know where they can find you next.
Well, currently I'm going to be on a little hiatus because I want to make sure that I deliver and produce this mixtape to the highest frequency I can. I want to make sure that I give y'all the best quality that I can give you all. So the next place you'll probably find me most likely will be December 18th when Prince drops.
All right. Well, y'all make sure
listening
that
party on the way too.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so y'all make sure that y'all follow I Am Every Artist on all of his different social media platforms, so that you can get all of the information on the listening party, about the mixtape. You don't want to miss it. I'm going to make sure I tap in. I will be sharing things along the way as well. So, you know, y'all make sure that y'all tap in with I Am Every Artist. This has been the mic drop with B. Anderson, and we are out. Appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir.
Tap in with me.